The Lost Signals presents a special event, our coverage of the Great Philadelphia Comic-Con 2018. Featuring some of our interviews with noted guests, attendees, panel experiences, and more. So enjoy, and for further information, check out PhiladelphiaComicCon.com. Hello there, welcome back to The Lost Signals, where we have another special sort of event for you. We are wrapping up our coverage of the Great Philadelphia Comic-Con, which we attended and earlier this week. And you've seen by this point a number of things that we've, interviews and so forth that we've got. So now we're just doing our sort of traditional general wrap-up of the event from our own perspective. I, of course, remain Scott Thurlow, here with Jonathan Ian Manzer.
I think you should have put great in quotations.
Well, we'll get to that for sure. And Stephen Amosi.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah, so it was called the Great Philadelphia Comic-Con, and it was fine, really. Like, yeah, we had a... Sure, we'll talk about, like, the issues, I guess, if you will, like, with it. But, to be fair, like, we did get press passes, in fact, which we're wearing right now, and I bought a t-shirt as well. So, yeah, it was like, we tried to, again, up our game, if you will, and do more coverage of things like this, cons like this, and so forth. And so, yeah, we did drive out there and stay there for a couple of days. But, I mean, it was a Comic-Con, so open to you guys. Like, we did try to get to a bunch of panels. We managed to get, like, 2 or 3 of them, at least. So what was your guys' impression? Elaborate upon the great in quotes.
Yeah, I mean, it was not the best, I don't want to say run, but it wasn't the best, like...
Organized, perhaps?
Yeah, organized event that I've ever been to, but I still had fun. We got to meet and talk to a lot of cool people, and yeah, I think I went to 4 or maybe 5 of the panels, which, you know, they were interesting. One of which I was upset ended early, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the panels in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, overall, I had a good time. You know, there were a lot of interesting folks there, and you know, we got to talk to a lot of people throughout the weekend, and yeah, I mean, but it was a lot of work,
as always,
and a lot of running around. So I think we're all exhausted at this point, but yeah.
Well, Phoenixville, PA, is an awesome place.
It is a cool town.
We had fun. We got Airbnb, which I now have issues with, but that's neither here nor there. We got to meet, we had the previous episode, Bob Camp of the Ren and Stimpy fame.
Yeah, he was an awesome dude. It was great to talk to him.
Yeah, one of very influential on my life, so we get that. The thing is, like, I guess the Comic-Con way of doing things in the panels, not really my cup of tea. I prefer the horror con kind of watching movies and maybe having a brief discussion about the movie afterwards. It's like having a 5-minute conversation with a celebrity and then 40 minutes of fans gushing over that celebrity.
I get it. Yeah.
Not my thing.
Sure.
Some people, awesome. Just not mine. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys are right. So, like I said, this wasn't like the New York or San Diego one or anything like that. It was more of an indie-ish run thing. So, yeah, the thing, like, I guess we'll do like a highlights and low spots, perhaps. Overall, I thought, like I said, it was a Comic-Con, so you had cool costumes. We accosted / interviewed a bunch of cosplayers and so forth, and everyone who talked to us, we appreciate that, of course, and it was very nice. And just to talk to nerd out a bit with other people, but yeah, of course, we're there on the job. So the thing that I was sort of disappointed with, I suppose, is that ostensibly in the press package leading up to the con, it was implied that, or outright said, that we would get like a press area. Like, so we can set up interviews and like have a little booth or whatever to sit down with people. But that didn't seem to be quite true. And if it was, I never found it out if there is one.
Yeah, we didn't find it. We asked several people and everyone said, no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
like, that kind of threw us off a bit. So it was sort of a rocky start. We weren't sure like what to do because like Steve-O, for example, tried to go up to a couple of like bigger, like some of the bigger guest names they had and like, hey, can we set aside some time? They're like, hey, sorry, sir. Like leave, please. Like more or less. Like, and I get it. But at the same time, it kind of made it more difficult for us. But, you know, we worked around it, made it happen. And yeah, I get you were saying, E, about like the panels. I know it's like not for everybody. Like, I'm sort of in the middle.
I'm not saying people shouldn't go to them. It's just not what I particularly like.
Like, I caught a couple, but for example, I wanted to go to see Michael Biehn, at least to his panel, but I believe that got canceled or pushed or something. Like it didn't go off at the time that they originally said, and I never saw a reschedule or like announcement for it, so I didn't actually get to do that.
Yeah.
But it was fine. Like he was there, like in his little booth, like elsewhere. But not like people. It's cool to see people having fun, just enjoying the con and so forth, and us working and lugging our shit around. But no, it was overall was still, yes, while not the best organized thing in the world, I think they did a pretty solid job given that, like for what it was. And yet it happened to be like we happened to stay in a town like nearby that was a pretty cool like party-ish town. So that was like good for us like afterwards to just unwind. But no, I mean like they had some good stuff. Amongst the people that they did have, they had Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spinner, like some pretty bigger like well-known,
Val
people.
Kilmer.
Val
Val
Kilmer,
Kilmer was there. behind
sort
a
of,
curtain.
sort of randomly
the
there.
entire
Like, we
time.
didn't know that was going to be the case.
Everyone else was just out in their booth. Yeah, you had to like pay money to go talk to him or whatever, but Val Kilmer was like behind a curtain, so you couldn't get like side shots with your. It was very strange.
Did you not see the Island of Dr. Moreau?
He's
I believe
horrifically disfigured
he was
now.
in it.
He's in character, man. Go on.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I will say that, and like there were several interesting guests. I missed the Black Lightning panel, which I wanted to see, just because I've been keeping up with that show, and it's.
But it was cool that they were all there.
Yeah, and they were all there. You could see them all in their booths and stuff, taking autographs and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I'm into all the stuff that was going on at this. It's basically a pop culture convention more so than a
specifically
Comic Con anymore. But it was just fun to see everybody, and I wish I had done the one thing I wish I had done that I didn't do was I wanted to do a little comic shopping, but I didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I was like planning to originally maybe take a quick like cruise down some stuff, and like I didn't really get to that either. But to be fair, like I was talking about highlights, like talking to Bob Kemp, like definitely was a fucking highlight.
I was
for us.
actually
Like,
just going to mention that.
It was really like really grateful that he took the time to speak to us and get an interview with him because he was an awesome guy and like had some great stuff to say about his experiences and just how it was in the business and what he's up to.
He did have a pretty good sense of humor and
yeah, of course.
Yeah, he just told us a lot of interesting stories about being in the business, and, which was really cool. And
which you heard ostensibly at this point.
Yeah, and so I guess I'll just mention the panels that I went to now if you want to talk about those.
Who else did we actually see?
So we saw we went into the David Bradley panel. Unfortunately, we listened to about 10-15 minutes of it, and unfortunately the mics were so low that we caught I was only catching every third word
to hear him. Yeah.
So we kind of left that one because we couldn't hear anything he was saying, or could barely get the point of what he was saying, and had to strain. Later on that day, we went to see Michael Coulter and Theo Rossi from Luke Cage, which was actually a really good panel.
That was one of the best ones, I think. Better ones.
I think that was my favorite one. They took a bunch of questions from people, and they got into the relationship of the show with the music, and they talked about their how they went, their career paths that led them to be on Luke Cage, and just stuff like that. There's at some point, I think Theo Rossi talked about Mahershala Ali for 10 minutes.
Yep.
Which was cool. You got to hear a little bit about what working with him was like when he was Cottonmouth on the show. So that was a cool panel. I actually caught it was a Winnie the Pooh panel this morning with the voice actors Jim Cummings, Michael Goff, and Andrei Stoica. And Jim Cummings is the voice of Winnie the Pooh. Michael Goff does Gopher, I believe, and Andrei Stoica is Owl in those since the 80s, right? Yeah. So they're not the original ones from the 50s or 60s or whenever those original animated short or movies came out, but they were the voice of my childhood when I grew up watching Winnie the Pooh, so I wanted to check them out. And that was interesting. They kind of talked about a lot of their experiences on the show and some of their experiences as voice actors and other stuff. So that was cool. And then we went to the Eric Stolhansky which I think is how you pronounce his name. I think I've heard it like 10 times. I still don't know if I'm right.
I.e.
He's Rabbit from Super Troopers 1 and 2, and he works with the Broken Lizard, all the Broken Lizard movies, and he was actually pretty funny and was giving a good panel, but there was like nobody there because it was the end of the day on Sunday.
It was the last day, the last time, like one of the last spots. Yeah, so it was like a little sort of like, I don't know how to say, like disheartening. Maybe it was for them.
Yeah.
Like I thought more people would be there, so it was a little empty. We'll say. So they cut it off like shortly because there wasn't just many people there to say or ask anything. I asked a quick like jokey question, like pretty much just to do it. But I mean, what he did talk about was pretty cool to hear and like funny as well. So it's like solid. But yeah, like just in general, trying to, like we ran into a couple of friends of ours from outside the cast that happened to be there, and we met up with actually Pinholes for Pitbulls. Kate from Pinholes for Pitbulls was there, so we met up with her, and we had that interview. So yeah, like it was cool to like, and I believe this may or may not be true. We thought we saw our friend Neil Young from Penrose, but we didn't like actually know if it was him. Like we just thought it was him at first. Like looked like him, but we never caught up with him. Never saw him again.
Like a ghost. He just
he works with ghosts and is a ghost.
Shadows.
Yeah.
And we never saw him again for the rest of the weekend. So I'm not sure if it was him or not.
Yeah, but either way, so it seemed like again people seemed to enjoy it. Like it was sort of like in a lesser known spot / area right outside in middle-ish Pennsylvania. But still, like it drew a pretty big crowd, and people seem to have fun as they usually do and or want to do at cons like this. So yeah, like overall, it was damn solid, and like I said, people had some pretty sweet costumes. At least I saw some good ones that I enjoyed. And yeah, we just often sometimes don't get a lot of time to ourselves to just kick back or do some shopping, like you said, or whatever. But yeah, the panels that we did see were pretty solidly done overall, more or less. Like for example, we didn't go to this one, but like Kevin Sorbo was also there. I mean, like that's kind of random or whatever.
Hercules.
Yes. Okay. Hercules / parentheses Kevin Sorbo. But sure. So like yeah, I mean I was somewhat not surprised I guess, but it was cool that they had some of the people that they had, given for the nature of like, again, not the official like big corporately run cons, if you will, I suppose. But either way, it was still a good time, and they did the best they could, which I thought was solid. Though I will say one funny thing was the expo center it was at was also hosting a holistic expo next to it. So it was like sort of bizarre, like mishmash of that.
People kept trying to enter the wrong ones.
Yeah.
It was great.
Like, you don't want to go there, man.
Yeah, or like reversely, like get some crystals on Iron Man or whatever.
Yeah.
But God, I think you can say something.
I will say before we get off the track of panels, I will say that the panels that we saw, I think, were interesting, but I do kind of like New York Comic Con will mix it up a little bit more, where they do like longer versions. Actually, I haven't been to that one in years, but they did like longer sessions, or they did things that weren't like mostly Q&A.
Yeah.
Like I would kind of almost rather see that, as you say, Ian. Like I would rather somebody.
I largely agree too.
Like a moderator who talks to them, or just have them moderate themselves up front, and like they decide when they want to take questions, or if they do, or whatever.
Like even on like radio shows or like sports shows, I hate it when I have to listen to people call in. I want to hear what the interesting people have to say,
what the guests are saying,
not what the fans have to say.
To be fair, I think there were some pretty good questions though that were asked, but I get your point.
Yes, but there were also just people like sort of sounds gonna sound harsh, but wasting everyone's time and the guest time. But I mean, I do agree with you guys that it would be nice to see the guests themselves talk a little bit more about whatever, and then like have like maybe 10 or 15 minutes set aside for some Q&A stuff. But I get it. Like, they want to give people a chance to, like, meet their icons.
I'm just an old curmudgeon as well.
Yes.
So.
Well, that's true, of course, in general, always.
Fair enough.
But yeah, there's something else that you were going to say that I cut you off for, sorry.
I do have one.
Okay.
I think the security here was run, maybe not for the guests safer, but it
was more convenient for us.
For us. It was much better than the NJ Horror convention.
That's because you get outside of New Jersey here, and then people are a lot more lax,
It's true. We didn't have to go through a pat down every time we came back in.
People are more trusting.
But
sure.
I mean, it was just a quick look in the bag. All right, you're good to go. I remember you guys.
Yeah, I was like, after 1 or 2 times, I was like, recording stuff. I'm like, yep, same stuff, man. I still got the recording stuff.
Yep. We're back in outside smoking a cigarette and coming back in
Yeah, but
10 times during the day.
It was a fine like venue. Like I said, they did a pretty good job with what they had. And like I said, like it's always cool to see like the people dressed up and get if they're kind enough to talk to us. Like for example, I was gonna tell this story. Or the story for you, where there's a guy dressed up as Hopper from Stranger Things, and we asked him. He's like, no, I'm good. Like, okay, like no problem.
Well, he's a pretty good Hopper too.
Yeah,
Well,
he had a good costume.
Yeah, so we got a few conversations, like short conversations with cosplayers, and I was trying to get him, and he, I think he was there with his family, and I was just like, if you got like 2 or 3 minutes and want to do like a conversation, we're just trying to get some cosplayers. I was like, nah, and just walked away from his family. He was like standing there, like what? He just left, and he just walked away.
It's very Hopper thing to do.
Yeah, he's got things to solve. Yeah, maybe he was just being super in character, and you weren't aware of it. But I mean, I get it. Again, like sort of like you're saying, like the way some of the panels, like the Q&A stuff, isn't quite for you, and doing interviews with a mid-level podcast such as us isn't quite for everybody. So I get that.
Yeah,
but sure, overall, like the people did talk to us. We're very cool about it, and you might have seen one of my favorite ones that we did early on was Bat Dude and Supergirl. What was it?
Yeah.
Bat Dude and Supergirl.
And so that dude being Batman with a Ghostbuster apparatus on, so he's like busting ghosts. He's Batman busting ghosts and shit. So like that was a pretty good one. That's funny, and he was also in character. He's like, I bust ghosts. Like he had like the gruff Batman voice going on. It was pretty solid.
Yeah, I really enjoy the creative energy that goes into
that's
cosplay.
well said. Exactly.
Deadpools were everywhere.
All kinds of Deadpools. Yeah.
Tons of Deadpools. Almost as many Deadpools as Harley Quinns.
Yeah,
that's true. I think our friend almost took down a Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Well, she said Chewbacca almost fell into her, and she had to save Chewbacca for once at the time, apparently. But yeah, sure, that was funny.
That's great.
Like also, they had couple of dudes, like I guess they do it like as like you can buy them, or they had droids like from Star Wars, like remote control, like we're like rolling around the con. They like basically driving them with a fucking remote. It's pretty cool, and I guess they build them or whatever. And that was a cool thing. I don't think I've ever seen that quite before.
So I have one final thing to say. You guys can go on after me if you wish. But our friend Nicole said that she saw the Power Rangers were doing $300 or something like that for
like
photo.
Pictures or whatever. Yeah,
and
maybe they have to cut that up between among 6 of them.
I understand that, but it's sort of like, who are you targeting with this? Children. So like, yeah, Dad, you want to stop your
bones for your little kid
child from crying? Pony up.
You know,
like if I paid $30 and I get just like one half of one of them or whatever, like is there like a deal like there?
But to be fair,
I mean, that's funny. But
I did pay something similar for a Bob Camp.
So there you go.
Yeah, we did get a commission from him, which is really cool. So that'll be coming up shortly. It'll be new decoration in the studio. But
again, I guess.
But that's like something personalized. You know what I mean? Like
it's true. But I guess taking a picture with a bunch of actors.
Sure. Did they sign it too? Or is that extra? I don't even know.
I have no idea.
Well, you just have to pick your favorite one and just get it from that one. Sure, it's only like $40 or something,
depending on it. So, yeah, man. I don't have much else to say. Like I said, it was a solid time. It's always kind of exhausting, but like you said, in a sort of good way. Like the creative energy was. I like the way you said that. That's certainly true, and it was here. So yeah, it's always a good time. And like I said, this one was solid enough. I don't know if it's great, but it was good.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so it was cool, like I said, that we got the press passes, so we do appreciate that if anyone's out there listening. But other than that, I think we're going to wrap up the wrap-up, unless you guys have got anything else to add that I forgot?
No.
Or anything else that you wanted to say?
No, had a good weekend. I'm ready to go lay down for several hours. Yes.
All right, well, that'll do it for our great Philadelphia Comic-Con wrap-up. I, of course, have been Scott Thurlow, been here with Jonathan Ian Manzer.
The fine Philadelphia Comic-Con, actually.
And Stephen Amosi.
The mighty decent Philadelphia.
Yeah, I like that one. I think we'll end with that. See you next time.
Editing and engineering by Scott Thurlow. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.